Hi and welcome back. In this video we're going to be adding our DNS records. Now I am here at restapi-trial.com in Cloudflare, and all that I have done, as I zoom in so you can see a bit easier, all that I have done is I have removed, by pressing this cross icon, all of the existing records. We don't need any of them, and also I want to start sort of from a blank slate, explain everything that we're adding, what it means. The one thing I've not deleted, that I'm going to delete in a moment, is this txt type record. Now, I've not deleted this because I wanted to explain what this is for before deleting it. And this txt record here is used for when an email comes through to know that it should, or that rather that this domain is a valid Namecheap domain, and it is okay to forward email that comes to this domain to the Namecheap domains. So this txt record here is just used to store a string, which in this case is this value here, against the domain. Oh, didn't mean to do that. And then Namecheap can check for this domain what this txt field contains, and it can make sure that it contains exactly this value. And if it does, that means it's a valid Namecheap domain that you can use for email forwarding. Because we've not signed up for emails with Namecheap, we don't need this domain, so we can delete it. And I am going to make sure that it is deleted. So now we've deleted all our DNS records, and we can re-add them starting from the first record. We've got a bunch of records that we can add, and as you can see here, we've got A, 4As, CNAME, MX, and a bunch more. The only ones we're going to look at are A, 4A, CNAME, MX, and TXT. The A is exactly what you'd expect a DNS record to be after the last couple of videos. The A record stores the IP address of the server that this domain points to. So when a DNS query comes through, this is the domain that is going to be sent back to the person or the server making the query. The name of the A record has to be the name of the domain. So in this case, REST API course trial.com. And the IPv4 address has to be the same as your droplet. So in this case, 95.85.15.100. And the TTL, that's the time to live, we can just leave that as automatic. And we can also make sure that the traffic to this hostname is going through Cloudflare. That's just going to make it a bit faster. And that's it. The 4A is used for IPv6 instead of IPv4. So if we go back to DigitalOcean, you can see that we've got IPv4, and this is a domain, an IP number with this format. Up to 3 numbers separated by dots, 4 of them. And we can enable IPv6. It's not free, so I don't recommend you do that unless you really need to. But that's essentially a longer number. And this is a longer number, IPv6 is longer, because we are essentially running out of IPv4 numbers. We've got too many connected devices. So we're running out of IPv4 numbers in the world, meaning each number has assigned a device. So that's why we're slowly migrating, very slowly, to IPv6, which is longer. But it's still not really widely used, so you don't need to worry about that for now. And we don't need that because we've got already an IPv4 and we don't have an IPv6 address in our server, so we're going to ignore the 4A, but that's what this is for. And then we've got the CNAME. A CNAME record is used to create an alias for a domain. So once again, the name of the record is what the alias is, and the domain name is what domain name it's pointing to. In the same way that an A record is a name, restapi-trial.com, that points to a IP address, a CNAME is a name that points to another domain name. So what's the point of this? Well, this is normally used to do things like this. Make sure that when somebody goes to www.restapi-trial.com, it sends them over to REST API coursetrial.com. This is normally what it's for. And as you can see, it shortens it to www is an alias of REST API coursetrial.com. Okay. Then we also have MX records, and these are used for email exchange or mail exchange. It is very likely if you use a mail provider such as Zoho, which are providers of custom mail, that they'll ask you to create some MX domains in your DNS records so that they know, or rather your email incoming to your server knows to go to somewhere else. And that's what the MX records are for. You'll create MX records with a given name, and then depending on the configuration, they'll go to a different server. The email will go to a different server, and that's where your mail provider will look for the emails when they arrive. Not something we're going to set up just now, but if you do want an email address that is, for example, your name at restapikoursetrial.com, you're going to need to set up some MX records, and your mail provider will tell you how to do that. And finally, we have TXT records, which, as I said, are just a name, that is the name of the record, and a value that you can store alongside your domain. And this is normally used for verification purposes. Basically, a website will ask you to create a specific TXT record, and then they will check that it exists. And if it does, it means that you were able to create that record, which means you are the owner of the domain. That's what these are normally used for. But again, we don't need one of these right now, but just know that this is something that sometimes you will get asked for. So that's what that is for. Okay, and we don't need anything else. So we've got our A record and we've got our CNAME record, and that points to our DigitalOcean droplet. So that's it. We are sorted. I'm going to zoom out of here, and our DNS records are now set. And soon, within a few hours, normally quite quickly, if you go to restapikoursetrial.com, you'll be able to see your IP address. Or rather, if we've got the API deployed to this IP address, we'll be able to use our API just with restapikoursetrial.com as if we were using the IP address. So that's everything for this video, and I'll see you on the next one.